Hi, first years. So let me see if I can help you in your journey towards professional designer by making this video. Okay, so I'm going to do a whirlwind tour of the Solidworks interface. On the left-hand side at the top, you've got this flyout with all of the menus. So file and edit and view, you'll be familiar with the titles from other software. But then insert and tools are the ones which contain all of the commands that you could possibly want to use. And then window has some useful stuff as well, which I'll show you later. Next to that is what's called the toolbar, and under it is the new button, which you can then create a new whatever you want. You can open something, whatever you want. You can save, you can print, you can undo, and then this very useful options button, which we're going to use lots in the future. Underneath that is a gray bar, which at the one end might have this little window. If it doesn't appear, don't worry about this next bit, but yours probably can't move. It's like fixed, doesn't have this little row of buttons. Let me show you how to get rid of that or to put it in another place. So if I right click, so just before I do that, note at the bottom, I've got my key display item. So if I right click, you'll see it shows you what I'm doing. So I'm going to right click in this gray area and I'm going to say customize, and then the customize dialog box appears and you'll see configurations. Under toolbars, you can make any of these appear or disappear. So if I click on this configurations, you see that little button disappeared, but we want it. You're going to want it later on. So make sure that it's selected. And then all you need to do is make sure that this lock command button at the bottom is not selected. Okay, mine was, well, my settings would have it selected. Say OK. And that'll allow you to drag this button down into the command manager so that you've got more space in the middle. And if you want even more space, there's this little collapse command manager button. If you click on that, you'll get even more space. It's obviously going to put configurations toolbar out in space. And if you want to reactivate it, all of your tabs appear again, and the moment you open it, it'll be available to you. And if you want to lock it in, just say pin. And then if you want this to come back, just put that in place. Okay. So far, so good. Now, remember in class that I had selected the primary planes. And so let's just zoom out and see if we can't get them to sort of disappear. So they might be off to one side or whatever it is. The moment you select something in the feature manager design tree, this is the design tree, but that's the feature manager. I'm just going to call it feature manager. So the moment you select something inside the feature manager, it highlights inside the graphics area. I can, if I click on something, I can make it show inside the graphics area, right? So there we go, that is shown. You can see that it's labeled the same way that you get the label in Feature Manager. If I select the item in the graphics area, it highlights in the Feature Manager and vice versa. So if I select something in the Feature Manager, it'll highlight in the graphics area. Okay, I can select many items by holding the Shift button down and apply something to all of them. So let's say hide all of them, or I can show all. Okay, so that context menu you're going to use a lot. I'm going to hide them for now. I'm going to click inside or on the front inside the feature manager. And I can either click on the sketch button under sketch tab, or the moment I click on this, that command is available to me, sketch. SolidWorks should immediately put you into a normal to relation with that sketch. Normal to means perpendicular to, but it's got direction to it as well. That's why it's called normal to, not perpendicular to. I'll explain that later. If it doesn't, you can click on this button, which I've put inside your head-up display, or I'll show you another way. But have a look on the right-hand side. There's this return button, which means that we're inside a sketch. So that little symbol means sketch. In the feature manager, you can see that we're inside a sketch because we've got a sketch which is activated, but beneath the drop down, I forget what this bar is called. And then inside the sketch tab, you have exit sketch, which means that you're inside a sketch. Okay, so a little bit about sketching, and then we'll finish this video and go on to the next one. I'm going to start a sketch by using the line command, but in class, remember, I'd shown you that you can also activate that by hitting the S key. S key will bring up the most common commands, which I've put into a little bar, or you can right-click drag. So right-click drag, and then you'll get this, we get what's gestures. Mouse gestures, you can sort of click on one of those. So there we go, and I want to activate this item. Now, if you've loaded my settings correctly, this should work exactly as I show you. So you can see that my cursor has changed to a pencil with a little line off to the left-hand side. I'm going to click in space, let go of my mouse, and I can drag the mouse wherever I want it to be. So I'm not holding anything down, I'm just dragging. And I'm not going to click, because in the moment I click, that dimension you see above this line is going to disappear, because I've activated the setting which allows you to input dimensions on screen as they appear. So let's make this 65 by just typing in 65 and hitting the enter button. Once you hit the enter button, that line gets a dimension, but the command continues. So I can carry on dragging my mouse around to wherever I want. And now at the same time, I've got these guidelines in yellow. If I get my mouse close to the guideline, it'll snap to that guideline, and it'll show you what relation it's putting in. So you can see this little yellow perpendicular relation. So if I click now, it'll go perpendicular, but I don't want to do that. I want to type in another dimension. So type in 50, hit enter. Okay, so that line is now perpendicular to the first line. And then the third line, I'm going to also get it to snap to this perpendicular line. But I also would like it, just go back, dang a lack. I also would like it to snap to that line. So watch what happens when I drag my mouse out. They're little dotted lines which show you what other relations are possible. If I click here, it's going to line up with that one there, so that now all four of these lines are perpendicular to one another. I don't want my dimension inside the sketch, so I'm just going to click on it and drag it out. Okay, and a little bit about relations. So if I click inside a sketch, and if the sketch is grayed out, it means it's a closed sketch, not an open sketch. We'll get to that later. If I click inside the sketch, all of the relations that have been established show up. So there's a perpendicular, perpendicular, perpendicular. This one isn't, but by inference it has to be. So I can add that one in. I can click on a line, hold the Shift or Control button down, click on another line, and then wait for the context menu to show me Make Perpendicular, and I can use the Make Perpendicular. If I click on the sketch, you'll see all four corners have perpendicular. I would like this sketch to be horizontal along this line. So I'm going to click in, select this line. You'll see the context menu allows me to make horizontal. There we go. So my rectangle is now horizontal, but I would also like it to line up with the origin at a center point. So at the moment, it's defined as far as the dimensions go. And if I click on a dimension, I can drag out. I'm not sure this isn't working at the moment, but if I should be able to click onto the ruler and it'll snap to that. Oh, it is working. But if I drag this out outside of the ruler, you can see I can go in increments of 0.01. And if I drag it into the ruler, I can go into increments of 1 millimeter. Right, but at the same time, as those control the size of this thing, it is not controlled as far as position is concerned. I can drag it anywhere I want. I can drag a point. Right, so I can click and drag. And I'd like this to be locked in to this origin. So I'm going to select this line, just the line, and then I'm going to hold the Control button and I'm going to click on the origin, close to the origin. You'll see that those two are now highlighted, and you'll see in the Properties Manager that the line and the point are highlighted in blue, and that the possible relations show up in the left-hand side. There's a quicker way to do this is once you do that, so let's click that and hold the control button down. The context menu will also show those to you. So I'm going to say make midpoint. You'll see the sketch immediately turns completely black. That means it's fully defined. That's what you want. Okay, so one last little trick before I close this video and continue in the next one. I'm going to delete this and you'll see that that line there goes blue, which means it needs a dimension to complete it. But what I want to do is I want to make this into a square. So there are two ways of doing it. One is I can select the entire sketch and then just click on make equal, or down at the bottom in the left hand side, or I can drag select from left to right. Remember, dragging from right to left. Dragging from right to left and from bottom to top allows you to drag over things and it'll select whatever's inside. And then dragging from the opposite direction, you'll see nothing gets selected until I go over it. So if I select the whole lot, that's what happens. Okay, so let's drag select those two. No, that's not going to work. Let's select this one, hold the control button down, and then let's make that equal. Okay, so that means that this is now a square. And if I change one of these dimensions, it'll change the entire thing. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.